In the second part of functions, we are going to see scope and passing parameters. Yesterday, the session was about function declaration, the definition of the function, how it is written in a main program, how a function can be called. Welcome you all to the second session of functions. Let's start the class. So, the first topic is scope of a function. What do you mean by scope of an item or a variable or a function or an entity in a program? Usually the word scope in programming, we mean that the visibility of that item inside the program, or is it accessible within the entire program or not. So if the variable is accessible from anywhere within that program, we call that a global scope. And if the variable is not visible or accessible everywhere within that program, then it must be used inside a code block only. A smaller subprogram allows you to use this variable within that subprogram. Then you would say the scope of that variable is local. So scope of a variable or a function, it refers to the visibility of the variables or functions or methods from different parts of the program. There are two different scopes. One is global scope and the second one is local scope. Now, a variable or function created in main part of a program has the global scope, and a variable or function declared inside a subprogram has the local scope. So when you consider a program, if it has functions within that program, then function is separately written as a code block, and it is separate from the main part of the program also. So you can say that this function is a subprogram, and the variables used inside the function, there may be global variables also, but locally created variables inside the function has local scope. It is not accessible outside the function. The lifetime is within that function code itself. And local variable or functions are only visible inside that code block. Outside, there is no life to it. But in case of global scope, let it be outside the function or inside the function, if a variable is declared outside or it has a global scope, you can say it is accessible within a function or outside the function. That is why it is called a global scope. The entire execution, during the entire execution of the program, this particular variable can be accessed. So that is about the scope. Next we are going to talk about passing values to a function. This values, we pass values to the function during the function call. So if a function needs to process some values, and this value need to be, there are two different ways. Either the function, inside the function you can ask the user to insert the values or input the values, or before calling the function you can ask the user to input the value, then pass that value to the function. So two different ways are there to get the values for processing inside the function. Either you receive the value within the function, or you receive it first, then you pass it to the function. So if you are passing value to a function for processing, then this is done through the function call. And the the values passed to the function are called arguments. So there are two terms that you have to take care of. These are arguments and parameters. So arguments are the values being passed to the function. That means arguments appear in a function call. So the actual value that you are passing to the function, the values that are being passed to the function, this is called argument. And in the function definition, that is function definition means function header contains def keyword, function name, within the parenthesis there will be argument list or parameter list. In Python case they are called parameters. The values passed through the function call will go to the function header as parameters. So whichever argument that you are passing to the function is received by the parameters in the function header. That is the difference. So arguments are the real values passed or the original values passed. Parameters are the copies received by the function of the same values. Okay. Now we are going to discuss some what are parameters, what are arguments. So this is a particular platform that you can see. It's a web page that allows you to do Python 3.6 programs. I mean, this is the version 3.6, Python 3.6 program, and the website is Python Tutor. This is a live programming. The difference is that you can see the live running status here. So the values and variables created will be appear here. That is the main difference. Now I am going to explain this program just to give you a demonstration of what are arguments and parameters. So you know that every Python program starts with the main function or main part. Here this is the main part, which this is the name of this part is main. That's it, main. Now, and the program should start, if there is a function in the program, before the main function you have to write this definition, function definition. So here you can clearly see that this function is a sum function. The name of the function is sum, and it has two parameters, x and y. So x and y are parameters. These are the copies received by the function. These are local variables inside the function, and it is finding the sum. Okay, let's start from the main program. Main program is receiving two values I and j here. So I and j, I receives the first number entered by the user, j receives the second number entered by the user, and the scope of the variables in the main function is global. So the scope means the reachability and accessibility of these variables are throughout the program. Throughout the program, starting from the first line to the last line of the code, I and j can be accessed. That is the speciality of I and j. Now we are going to call the function sum using I and j in the print statement. So we are going to print sum of I and j is. So this is where the result should be. This is where the result should be, right or not? Sum of ij. So whenever a call happens, this is a function call, and in the call we have these two values I and j received by the program. These are called the arguments, the original values passed to the function. This is a function call. Function call contains values passed to the function. These values are called arguments. These are arguments. I and j are the actual values passed to the function. They are called arguments. Now some x and y, they receive the copy of I and j in the function. Whenever function call happens, the function jumps to the body here, not to the body, to the header actually. It goes to the header and copies the value in the same order. I will be here and this will be j. So I will be copied to x and j will be copied to y. These are the parameters. These are the copies received by the function. Now we are finding sum of it and returning c. C is the result, x plus y. And we when a function returns a value, it goes back to the position where it has been called. Here the statement is not completed. Print statement is not completed. Why? Because there should be a result here in case of function. Okay. So the result returned by the function has to come here and print it. Then only the statement finishes. So this is how the flow of execution, this is how the function is executed, and this function or this particular program explains what are arguments and what are parameters. And on the right side you can clearly see the two numbers received by the program. First number the user entered 12 and the second number is 14, and these are stored in I and j. I and j are actual arguments, and this is in the global frame. You see this? They are in the global frame. And sum is a function, so function has been created here. Function, you can see this here. Now when function started to execute, when it reaches the body, this particular frame is created. This frame contains the local variables x, y and c. And c has the value 26 which will be returned. That is why it is called the return value. What is returned? 26 is returned to the global frame, to the main program. Okay. Then this is the second page of that. Once the return value has been reached, or it has reached the second position, or this I think is the second, okay, another program it is. Another example, when it reaches the main program, it prints there. The print statement is sum of 12 and 14 is 26. This is what it will be printed in the output screen. This is the output screen. Here it will be printed. Now this one, it shows with another, different way, a small change I have made in this program. Instead of printing the statement here in the main program, it now contains a function call only. The small change I made just to explain what has been returned, what is the value of c and what has been returned, and how it is printed here. So the print statement comes inside this function. Okay, so x and y, the normal case we receive two values x, I and j, and instead of just printing the value we just call the function. So once the function is called, it directly jumps to the function and reaches the function here and copies I here and j to y. These are parameters, x and y are parameters, and we find the sum. Now this is very important. Look at this. I and j are also accessible inside function. I and j, you can clearly see that they are in the global frame. They are accessible throughout the program. Entire program, they are accessible. So I'm using this I and j inside function also, which is possible. I and j are accessible within the function because they are in the global frame. Now sum of I and j is c. So I'm printing I and j, taking I and j. I'm not mentioning x or y, which was possible, but just to show how this works, how global arguments works, global values works, I showed you this. So sum of 20 and 34. In this program we entered two different numbers, 20 and 34. Sum of 20 and 34 is 54. So first these two values are first assigned to I and j, and some function has been called. At that time when the function called, a frame has been created here which receives I is received in x, j is received in y, 20 and 34, and c has been calculated. And here we are not returning anything, that's why the return value is none. You cannot see a return function here, but in the previous program you could see a return function. Function can return a value and it may not be returning any value. It may or may not. That's it. It's not compulsory. If you have a value to return, then you should. Otherwise you can print the result within the function itself. No issue. So the function is not returning any value, so the return value is none here, but we are printing the statement within the function, so the values are there. This is it. This program clearly tells you how the global and local variables are working. That means scope of the variable is clear in this, and what are arguments and parameters also. Now, what are the different types of arguments? That means arguments are those values that you pass to a function in a function call. So you can pass the following types of values to a function. That means in the previous example you saw that we in these all examples we send them integers. I and j were integers. Look at this, integers. And the previous program, here also I and j they were integers. So these integer values we pass to the function through the function call. So surely integer values can be passed to the function. Now what are the other values that you can pass? This is, you can pass string, integer we already saw that, and list also you can pass, and tuple and dictionary also. Whatever value this is, you can pass to a function without any issue at all. Because when you pass a list, you are passing a variable, just a variable. Now, there will be a small difference in case of passing an integer and passing a list. A small difference will be there. And integers, strings and tuples, they are almost the similar, because what is the similarity of integer, string and tuple? Here the value that you store are immutable. They are immutable. I would say it is not that easy to write on this slide. So you just remember that string, integer, tuple, they are immutable. You cannot make any change into the existing value. If you make any change, it will become another value, not the same one. That's it. Now here I'm going to give a string to a function. So in the coming examples you will see a normal program, normal case, just send a string, a list or a tuple or dictionary to a function, then just print them there inside. These are the program, but instead of printing you can work on it too. You can change it, you can manipulate the value there and print it there, or return back to the main program. These are all possible, but just to show you how to send these values to the function, I created the following examples. So in the first one, this is the first one, that is we are passing string. So let's as usual, let's start from the main program, that is this part. Okay, this part is the main program, that is B is received, B is a variable, and it is received as a string, because I didn't mention any type change here, no type conversion applied. So whatever value you enter in an input dialog is taken as a string. So whatever value v will be storing is, variable v is storing as a string. Now this is a reminder that function call contains actual argument. The original value you have to give in the function call. Original value. Okay. So v is the original value we received, and it is a string. Then the string is passed to function. We have a function def1 of variable. That means v is passed to var. That is, the original value of v is now copied by, yes, it's a copy, var. Var is now having a copy of v, not the actual value. You can see that they are totally different. V is here and var is here, because they are strings. They cannot, they are, this one is global and var is local within the function. That is why they are not pointing to the same part. Okay, and string is it's an immutable data type. Now, so the var is passed to the function now. For example, I am entering a string, enter the data, I am a string. This is the string I entered. I am a string. Now var has the string I am a string. Scope of var is within this function. Variable, the variable var is reachable or accessible within the function only, and it is a formal parameter. It is a parameter, not an argument. Now the data received is, so the function is just printing the data it received, no other change at all. But we passed a function. That's the difference. Instead of an integer, we passed a function to the, a string to the function. String to a function. Passing string to a function. We just displayed that. So within the function, it is printed. That is, the data received in var. Then I am a string. Value in var is displayed here. Now, here you can see it is actually I am passing an integer. We already saw the example, but just to be part of the different types of, I'm showing you different types of data that you can pass. So I just entered one single integer and just checked the type. I checked the type here. That's the difference. So I took a value using the eval function. So whatever value that you are entering in the input statement, depending on that type, eval will consider the type and create a, this is very dynamic process, I would say, very much dynamic, because you're not expecting an integer, you're not expecting a string, there's no expectation at all. Whatever the user wants to enter, he or she can enter, and depending on that value, eval function totally dynamically decides the the type of the data, and that type will be the variable I. So if I want to enter a string, it is possible. It will be taken as a string. It will be taken as a string. If I want to enter an integer, definitely it is possible. If I want to enter a list or a dictionary or a tuple, it is possible. So this is a kind of a general code. It will be very useful. So let's see what this is. So you'll get a small explanation of eval function also here. Very interesting function it is. And so once the value, whatever value that you're receiving, you received in I, and that value is passed to the function take int of I. So now the function call happened with the actual value, which is called argument. Here a copy is created in n is a parameter, and this parameter just contains the copy of I received here. Now what is it doing? It is just printing received an integer type, actually received a common, we can make this a or an. Type n. So we are just printing type of n. This is another function. I hope you remember the function. It displays the type. It returns the type of the value received. It's a built-in function, you can see. It's a global built-in function. No need of importing any modules for using this function. It happens in the general built-in part. Okay, general library of Python. Now type of n is depends on whatever value that you are entering. Okay, then it returns, the function returns none. No problem if you don't give this particular statement. Even if you don't give this return statement, nothing will be returned. That's it. None will be returned. None is nothing in this in Python. Okay, now so the data I enter is 78. 78 is an integer, so it is passed to the function and it is storing. It received an int, class int value. So integer is class int value. Look at this. Now in the second one, I am entering a same program. There's no difference in the function or the main program. There's no difference at all. Here the only difference is that the value entered by the user. Here you can notice that I entered when the dialog came, input dialog came. What I entered is input box. It is a list, a square bracket, comma separated values. So integers are there, string is there, floating point number is there. They're all comma separated and enclosed within a square bracket. List. So the list I is a list now, and this I is passed to the function. Again, I didn't change the name of the function, please don't mind that. Still the name is take int, just the same function, take int, no problem. We're just taking some input. Okay, that's it. Now n now has the copy of I, just a formal part, that means it's the parameter, and received type of n. Here the type of n is, you can see that, class list. It is a list, not an integer. What you passed here? A list. So now you know how to pass an integer, how to pass string, how to pass a list. You don't have to take them as eval. You can just type like I is equal to a list. You can directly type and pass it to the function. There's no issue in there. But this how you pass the function, pass a value which is a list to a function, and how the function prints it. Even you can print the list inside the function using a for loop, or just print I or print n, each value index wise. That also you can do, or make any change to the list, add one more value in the list. That is also possible. There's an example in this class itself. There's no issue in that. So this is how you pass a list to the function. Now here we are passing similarly. There's no difference at all, but we are passing when the user enters, he enters only a tuple here. So that is a tuple program. That makes it a tuple receiving program. No other change in the function, or there's no change in the main part. They are the same. The thing is, user enters starting with the parenthesis tuple. It's a tuple, as characters are given inside the tuple as values, and inside the function it is printing type of that value received by the function. The type is tuple. It is identified as a tuple. You can see that here. So I is a tuple, and n copies the same value. In the previous program also there is this one, and integers are passed as like this, and there's no such thing called, they are not pointed to the same value. They are created separately. This is separate, this part is separate. But in the next one you can say that when I is passed to n, they are pointing to the same list and same tuple also. This is a main thing that you have to notice. They are pointing to the same part, tuple. The thing is that tuple is immutable, you cannot make any change in it. That's it. Okay. I'm just reminding you this. List is mutable. So tuple is received by the function now. This is, I made a small change in this program just to explain how you can manipulate data within the function and how the thing can be changed. No, not a change, just print whatever received by the function inside the function. So I just used another code, just not to print it using the name of the variable. I just used, because it's a dictionary I am sending, I just used imagining that the value now has an index, because I know that I am going to enter a dictionary here. That is why I used a for loop inside here. Even if it is dictionary or tuple or list, this code will work. But if you enter an integer in this eval statement or in this input statement, if you give an integer, this may not work, because there is no such thing to iterate on. Okay, integer is a single value, but if it is a list, tuple or dictionary, there will be something to iterate on. So first I type the value received, which is a dictionary. Okay, so in the dictionary, you know that there will be key and value pairs. So the check the value I entered. 1 is the key and the value is first. 2 is the second key, value is second in words. 3 is the third key and the value is 3, and third is the value. So inside the function, I took each item from the dictionary and I printed first j, which is the key value, and n of j, which is the value inside the dictionary. So key I printed, then I printed the value corresponding to that key value pairs in this manner. So this part reminds you how a dictionary can be printed using for loop. So two different lessons you are getting. One is just to recall the previous Python, dictionaries, tuples, lists, data values, mutable, immutable type. All these things you can recall, and also you can learn new things like how to pass a dictionary to a function and how function can handle the data once it received it. So here also I and n, they are pointed to the same dictionary, and the dictionary is stored like this: key and the value, key, value, 3, which is third. And also note that this particular function is not returning any value. Return value is nothing. We are just printing the thing inside the function itself. Now, mutable and immutable names in function. Mutable and immutable names in function. How you send mutable type, what change it will make? Is there any way you can make any change in it? No, it is not possible. In case of immutable type, there is nothing possible. So mutable types are those types that you can change. For example, in a list, you can add more values to it. That is possible. And the name does not change. It points to the same memory, in the same memory. But in case of integer, if you make a small change in the variable a, then it will point to somewhere else, not to the same value. That is why it's called immutable. Once you change the value of an integer, it will point to the different location in the memory, not to the previous location. That is why it is called immutable. You cannot change that memory location. But in case of list, it is possible. That is why list is a mutable type, and integer, string, tuples are immutable type. You cannot change at all. So immutable objects doesn't allow modification. Again, another reminder. Mutable objects allow modification. Mutable allows modification after creation. Now, immutable. Let's see some immutable types. Integers are immutable. That is why they store it separately. In this program, let's start from the main program. So the function should be written before the main program, which is a rule of Python. So in the main program, we receive an integer value. You can see integer value from the user, and we are printing that integer value received by the program. Now again, n is a function. N is used to call the function, and now became argument. The value passed to the function is called the argument. Value received by the function is called parameter. But an interesting thing is that here the value received is also an n, not another variable. The names are same. The value that you are passing, the variable name through which you pass the actual argument is n, and the variable name you used as a parameter is also n. But these n's are not the same. That is what this immutable type example explains. So n is a parameter, again another remainder, and the scope is within the function itself. Now you can see that this function is finding the square of the number, that is n double star equal to 2. This is an augmented assignment. I hope you remember. The meaning is that n is equal to n double star 2. I don't know. What is n double star 2? The square of n. And once it finds the square of n, it returns the value. So when it returns, it goes back to the place where it has been called. Here the print statement need to be finished. How? After printing the result here. So it prints the result here, which is here. Now, it has not yet printed. I think it is in the next slide. Now let's see. So the user is entering 12 here, and n in main program, this statement is a second statement of the main program. N in main program is 12 that we found here. Now it moved to the function. It moved to the function, and it found, again it was previously it was 12 here. N is 12, and in the take function is 12. It was 12, and after this square operation, it became 144, which is square of 12, and the return value is, we are returning n. So the return value was 144. But when the change has made here and became 144, that change does not reflected here. That is why I tell you there are two different variables now. One is at the global frame. This n is at the local frame, which is local to the function take. And when the local variable n has been changed, it is changed to 144. That change does not reflected here. This is called immutable type. This is interesting feature. Now, same program, and now you can see that the function has been returned. After n, the function has been returned, and the value is reached here, the main part. So when the function returns a value, the exact value that it is returning will reach the main program. There's no issue there. Okay. Why? Because the result is passed here just to print. So it became n intake function return value, which is 144. You can see that. And there's no change in the main function n value, that also you have to notice. Now let's talk about this function. This function is another example, I would say. You can see lots of print statements in this function. Let's start from the main part. There's a variable num which is taking 3. So num is an integer value, num. Now calling my fun by passing num with value num. That means passing the variable num with value 3. Calling function, let's see the output first. Calling my fun by passing the variable num with the value 3 in it. So it is printed and we called the function myFun of 3. So 3 will be copied to the variable a. It's a function call, it has to go to the function. And now what is happening? Now it prints the function body, which is print inside myFun. Now we are inside the function, look at this. And the value received in the variable a, which is a parameter, as received as 3. 3 is received, a copy is received, same value. Now a became a plus 5. Sorry, a plus 2, which the result is 5. So a became 5. Value of a, now we are printing value of variable a, now change to 5. This a will be 5 now because we made that change there. A is changed here and this a now printed will be 5. You can see it here. Now returning from the function myFun. Now you return from the function, it goes back to the, here the statement is completed. So it goes to the next statement, which is print. So what is printed? Print back from function, happy, and value of the variable num is, again we are just printing the value of the variable. Is there any change to the value num? There's no change at all because they are not pointing to the same variable. They are two different values. They are immutable, they cannot be changed. If you change num, then it will point to somewhere else, not to the same memory location. So this is it. Now let's talk about few mutable data. It's very easy, this part, and very interesting also. So the same one we are doing list. Now list is containing 3 values PQR. It's a list, definitely. Square bracket, comma, separated values. Okay, list. Calling the myList function, passing this list variable. Okay, you can see there in the output screen, calling myList by passing list with the values PQR. Now when you pass the list to the function, the value in list is PQR, nothing else. Now the function has been called. When the function calls, we should also jump to the definition of the function. Here you can see myList of 1, myList of not 1, it is L. It's a parameter that is receiving the copy of list. You can see that in the memory, list is pointing to this particular list, and also L is pointing to the same list. There's no change at all. Now we are inside the function. Let's see what happens. First, there is a print statement inside myList which has been printed here. Now what happens? Value received is, now the value we receive inside the function, there's no change at all. We didn't change the value yet. The list has not yet been changed. So PQR is still there. Now what happens? It is extended. L.extend S, T. I hope you remember this function. Again, reminding part. L dot extend. What do you mean by extend? Extend is such a function that adds one or more values at the end of the list. At the end of the list, you can add more than one value using extend, or you can add separate list to it. List is attached with list, concatenated with list using extend. If you want to add one single value to the list, you can use append function. But if you want to add a list itself, 2 or 3 values, then use the extend function to add it. So once it is added, list has been changed. So you can see the difference. Now I show you only the output part. The same list which is pointed by list and L now has extended values S and T in it. Now what happens? Inside the function we are printing value of L is changed to. L is the variable inside the function. L is changed to PQRST. Now returning from the function. Now from the function we are returning back to the main program. Here returning from the function. After returning, it goes to the statement just after the function call, because this statement has been completed. This particular calling statement has been completed. There's nothing else to do there. So once returned, we'll go to the next statement, which is back from my list. Value of the list is, look at this very carefully. Now we are back from my list, which is a function. Then value of list, you can see that the same list variable and L variable are pointing to the same data memory, which has been extended using the extend function within the mylist function, user defined function. Okay. So the value now list has st also. This is mutable. List is mutable. So if you make copy, both the copies are pointing to the same memory location. That is the difference. So that is all in today's lesson. Thank you for listening.